If I can't pull up and be peculiar, don't even send that invite. My swag is bewildering. And if commoners are in attendance, they will be rubbed the wrong way. And I make no apologies for my whimsy.
Hey there, my fellow jesters. We are getting right into it today. What I have been picking up on for our energy check-in is that we are headed towards some sort of major canon event. This is an unskippable cutscene, and it is a fairly major one. From what I can tell, this canon event is going to be hitting both on the macrocosm, and it's going to be fractally repeating on the microcosm. The issue with these significant canon events and unskippable cutscenes, especially when it's something like this, when we're getting macro and micro simultaneously, is that A, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening simultaneously. We're going to have a lot of overlapping events. And so that tends to muddle the messages a little bit. Like it makes it so that I can only give in general what you need to know, and then I can supply a few examples, but the read's not going to be super specific as to what this canon event actually is, because I've been trying to look at it. While I can tell it's there and it's fairly significant, and what I, and therefore you, would need to know in general about it, a lot of it is veiled. Like I can see some outcomes or like certain things that are going to be happening during the canon event, but I can't see what the event, like I can't describe to you what the event actually is. I don't know what the event is, other than it is significant, and here is what it is going to look like from your perspective, okay, in general. Whatever the big event is, especially the one happening on the macrocosm, while it will impact you, it seems like emotionally, it's not something that's going to hit you. Is it something that's going to hit them materially? I'm getting like a no. Yeah, like what do you mean? What I'm hearing is like your area could be affected. Like if you want to go to the grocery store on a particular day, like you might not be able to go on that day. It's like, yeah, or like if you want a particular item from the grocery store, that item might not be there, but another one like is. It's something like that. It's sort of like the direct thing is not hitting you directly, but there are going to be ripple effects from this larger thing that do impact you. Imminently survivable. Minor discomforts is what I'm getting. The big thing, the macrocosmic thing, is going to be happening at a distance from you, from some of you. Okay, so some of y'all are closer than others to whatever the macro event's going to be. Am I close to it? No. Okay, so where I am materially, which is New Orleans, Louisiana, I am not close to this event. It's going to be closer to people on the East Coast. They're just saying yes. It's going to be West Coast? No. Okay, so Easternish coast for the macrocosmic thing. Yeah, macrocosmic thing you would definitely see on the news. Yeah, like you're going to see that on the news and on the internet. It's going to take up a lot of space on the news and on the internet. There's like nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about this event, nor like the ripple effects that are going to take place from it. What it's going to look like is you are going to be watching something happening on the macrocosm, and it might stress you out. Like you might feel a certain way, because I don't know what the event is, but it just seems like something that you really don't want to happen. Like it's something that you don't want to happen. So you're going to see that happening, and there's nothing you can do about it. So don't try to interfere. Like you might feel some type of like motivation to go out and do something. I don't know how you would do that. You are being, or I'm saying you can do whatever you want. If it's just saying it's like there is nothing you can do. There is nothing you can do. Do not interfere. Do not go over there. Do not involve yourself, because if you try to do that, then things will get significantly worse for you. And I'm hearing the yes. For whoever or wherever you are right now, it's like you're in a bubble of protection, okay? Even for those of you who may be closer to where the large event goes down, you are in a bubble of protection, all right? And you are being asked not to leave that bubble of protection. Don't leave it. You're going to see something that's going to make you want to leave it. Don't leave it. I know it's upsetting. You can't do anything. I would tell you if there was something you could do. You can't. What you are being asked to do is acknowledge that that is happening and move on. What it feels like to me, just kind of reflecting back on messages that I was giving kind of last year that have kind of been clarifying and building, is that I recall certain messages that were just like, there are things that are about to be like really bad for certain people, but not for you. And you're going to be in a position to perhaps eventually help people. That time is not now, because there's something that's going to happen that is going to require you to take care of yourself first. And I do mean like you personally, because here, like that, so that's like the broad macrocosm thing. And before I move on to how this is going to repeat on the microcosm, I want to talk about a dream that I had. This was like a couple of months ago, and it seems very real, like it's stuck with me. Like like every so often I just think about this dream, and I'm just like, man, I know that means something, but I don't know what it means. And it was an upsetting dream to have, even though I was okay in the dream. So here's what happened. I was sitting in my living room, and if you can see this like large window behind there, these tall windows all over the place that I'm in. And there's one of these windows that is right next to one of my sofas in the living room. And through this window, I can see like the roof and above the roof of the house across the street. And you can kind of see it a little bit like here, like that you can see across the street. So I was sitting on like one side, I was like reclining on one side of my sofa, and I was looking out that window. I could see the roof of the house across the street and above it. Now, in real life, there is like nothing above the roof of that house, but like sky, and like over in one direction, there's a large tree. But there are no other like large structures next to that house, or even in the distance. It's going towards Lake Pontchartrain. In the dream, there was this massive, like, Gothic tower. And it was clear that the tower was kind of in the distance. However, the foreshortening in the dream was very odd. What the tower looked like if you've ever watched Monty Python, and there are, like, kind of funny cutout animations that are odd and surreal in Monty Python, that is what the tower looked like. The tower looked like one of those odd animated cutouts in Monty Python, so that even though the tower was supposed to be in the distance, it was far too large and like flat and close for it to, like, it would never have looked like that in real life, right? So just describing to you, like this massive tower, like there's no way it could have been as close to the house as it was in the dream, nor could, for what it looked like, been as far away as it was supposed to be. And so I was looking at this odd tower, gigantic tower, and it was huge. It's like I couldn't see the top of it. I knew it was a tower, but I could only see like a section of it, and I couldn't see the top. And all of a sudden, this tower collapsed. There were a ton of people in this tower. And what I was watching as the tower collapsed, I didn't see it graphically, but I knew there were people, you know, unfortunately meeting their ends within the smashing of this tower. And I could also see people jumping out of the tower. It was like if someone animated the tower card in a very weird way, it looked like that. And I was sitting on my sofa watching this going, oh my God. And what I did in the dream was I sat up and I grabbed my phone and I texted someone who I knew. And what I texted that person was, it happened. And then that was the end of the dream. Now, the person who I texted in the dream, what I know about this person is that I have been in real life talking to them about whatever this like event is. This is somebody who I would have told like this prediction or whatever. And so when this thing happened in the dream, I texted that person and said it happened. And then I woke up. Now, on the microcosm, this is going to repeat in the following way. Potentially, there are people around you, or there were, like, I don't know where we are within the timeline for like all of y'all, okay? This might have already happened, it might be in the process of happening, or it's been done and you're already on the other side of it. There's like people or a group of people, something like that, where either you have decided that it is not best for you to be around these people, and so you left. Like, you kind of cut these people out quietly, messily, however you did it, you did it. You're not really around these people anymore. Or the way it happened was there was a group of people and you kind of knew you weren't like a fit with them, but maybe you were kind of hanging on a little bit, or these people like excluded you. They pushed you out, and maybe you felt like kind of bad about it, kind of ostracized. So for whichever way, no matter who was taking the initiative here, no matter who was exercising the agency, you were in like one particular group. These could be friends, associates, business colleagues, family, friends. It could be anything. It could be a church group, could be a magical group, could be anybody. It only matters that you were separated from a group or from people in general, okay? And it doesn't have to be all clustered together. It could be like a little bit of family here, a work environment here, a social group. It's like there's been some sort of winnowing, there's been some kind of separation, or there will be, all right? And you might feel bad about this, like maybe guilt at having like cut somebody out for whatever reason, or you feel bad because you were like, oh, what's wrong with me? Like, I don't fit in, like blah, blah, blah. Whatever happened there, it's your bubble of protection. Okay? Because whatever is about to go down, the people who you have been separated from are going to be affected more by whatever happens than you will be. And this is where it gets really kind of touchy, because potentially, depending on how much access these people have to you or whatever, when this goes down, you might have people trying to like come and get into your bubble of protection, or they want you to help them with something. Like, I don't know what it is. You cannot do that. Like, what is being asked of you in the coming however long, if this is hitting for you, is you simply need to like, I acknowledge it's happening and I'm going this way. It's sort of like this is part of whatever dimensional collapse is happening when they're talking about splits, like timeline splits and all of this stuff. People like had their chances and their choices, and it's going to start now coming to this is why, like, maybe we should have made this choice instead of that choice. And I just happen to know that there are, you know, for people, especially people who watch like spiritual channels or whatever, typically, even though nobody's perfect, people who are trying their best and like want the world to be a better place and all this other stuff tend to want to help other people. And they're pretty generous with their time, energy, and like they'll maybe have looser boundaries, or whatever. Like, you want to give everybody a million billion chances and you want everybody to come in, and it's just like, for some of y'all, it's not going to be, like, for some of y'all, it's going to be like, bitch, I don't even give a fuck about none of these. Like, you're going to be like cackling. And then for others of you, it's going to be a bit harder. It's very like, do not look back at the smiting of Sodom and Gomorrah, girl on gender girl. Do not look back. You just leave. You leave the cities. You leave the cities and you don't look back. And you just keep moving on. We're on the boat. You've been on the boat, and now we shall set sail, okay? Now we shall set sail. And of course, obviously, the boat is metaphorical. The boat is, you know, a metaphorical arc that you are creating around yourself and your community that is aligned with you and whatever. What you're going to be looking at is some type of dimensional collapse. Like, there's going to be some material event that happens that I don't know what it is. I've told you everything about it that I can possibly tell you. And that material event is going to be sort of an outward manifestation of the dimensional collapse that, like, people who are in tune with these sorts of things, you'll understand that it's happened, and you can see certain ways that materiality is behaving that's like, oh, that's the dimensional collapse, but you're not actually going to see, like, you're not actually going to see that, okay? Like, unless you're like looking with your third eye, whatever, maybe you have wizard eyes already. So if you have wizard eyes already, potentially you will see some stuff, like literally. You can have someone who's standing right next to you. They are not in the same dimension. Girl, they're not in the same dimension. So it's stuff like that. You can have somebody sitting right there and the shit's gonna befall them, but it's not gonna touch you. Why? Because you're not in the same dimension. They're just saying, like, prepare. If you have not prepared, prepare. It's more emotionally. It's not really like, it's not like for whatever it is, because I know I gave the example of like the grocery store or whatever, and I've been mentioning that about like, you know, having some food or like whatever. This is not something that it's like, oh my God, you need to go like have fresh water and like all this food. It's not anything like that where you need to barricade yourself inside your house. Like I said, at the like for these larger events, at the most, it's gonna be like, you're not gonna not be able to get things or go places, but it's more like if you have the convenience of maybe just staying in your house, like, you know what, I'm not going outside today. That's all right. Y'all go fight that good fight. I'm in my house. And I have everything I need in my house for today and the next couple of days. And then maybe at the end of the week, I go out and do, it's something like that. The preparation that they are talking about is sort of like emotional resiliency, psychological resiliency. That's what I've been getting, is just like, be prepared, this is gonna happen, there's nothing you can do, and what you are meant to do is not do anything and also not involve yourself. So especially when it comes to that microcosmic stuff, I don't know who it is, but like, you can't help these people, okay? They will potentially have like other guidance or whatever. They're not going where you're going. However, there's gonna be overlapping stuff. So while all of this is going on, like I said, if this large event is like, because I'm talking about dimensional collapses and everything else as well, if this event is coinciding with whatever the initial like apocalyptic event is, because like that dimensional collapse and revealing stuff, like that is apocalypse coded. If I'm talking about the same event here, what is going to be happening simultaneously, like all of this stuff overlapping, is that event, when people are dealing with it, it's going to shake people enough that you're going to have like a wave of people that are like converting to Christianity or like becoming spiritual or like something like that. So there's going to be like this rapture wave, okay, of like people like potentially like pleading the blood of Christ and all of that, because that's what people know, right? So it's the easiest thing to do. It's not wrong to do, but it's sort of like, I would guess that there's going to be more people going towards more of the like traditional faith practices, because, you know, they have a lot of press and propaganda out there. People, it's just, there's a lot of coverage in that area, okay? And on top of that, there are going to be people who are, as I said in the last read, the marriages are going to be happening. And for a lot of people, that is going to be people who have already been on their practice. There's going to be a wave of people, again, receiving the Holy Spirit, their knowledge and conversation of Holy Guardian Angel, getting married to their patrons. It is the spiritual union. There's going to be a wave of that happening simultaneously. And then on top of that, people who have already gone through that major spiritual marriage will be coming into contact or whatever. They're getting actually married to people who they already know, whatever, God's already put them together, the forces have already put them together, or they are coming into contact with the people who will be their spouses. So there's a lot layered into this canon event to where it's just like, I can only give general stuff and then some examples of how it might look for you, because there's frankly just too much going on. And so because this thing is so big in the energy, that's like all I can see at the moment. Before we go into a brief apocalypse watch and maybe some news updates and some conspiracy cooking, general yapping, and announcements, let's have a word from our sponsors.
Attention! Earth has just become integrated with the multiverse. It is survival of the fittest. So do your best to hone your skills, find treasure, and care for your loved ones. Also, there are factions tens of thousands of years old, such as the Merchant Union, the Wizard Alliance, the Demons, the Space Buddhists, and the Elves.
Sorry, pause. Can we go back a second? What do you mean space Buddhism? What do you mean? There's Buddhism in space? We had Buddhism on Earth, but there's space Buddhism? I mean, I'm not surprised, but they call it Buddhism? They already had it. They had that already. I'm not surprised someone already thought of the same stuff, but to call it, they had Buddhas and they do the same stuff. They've got scriptures and they look like our Buddhists. They got the robes and they're all bald and they got the cool little staff. That's insane. That's the craziest thing I think I've heard. I mean, space elves, I get it. I feel like that makes sense. Nature people, obviously, demons and stuff makes sense. There's got to be evil and whatnot out there. Space Buddhism, though, that's where I'm going to draw the line real quick. What the hell are we fucking talking about? What are we actually talking about? Space Buddhism? Dragons. Makes sense. Buddhism, though, how'd that happen? How did we get there? How'd we get this? What's going on?
Last night, Donald Trump in the White House actually posted this video online. Yes, this is real. Yeah, I don't even know what we just watched. This is real. You can find it on their Twitter or different social media platforms. I don't know what that was.
One time I fought with a warlock who astral projected as a light being into the room I was in. And I physically fought with him. It was a knife fight. He had this crooked blade like this. It was actually made of light. This is how do you even explain these things? And I actually snagged it from him and buried it in his chest and said, Dominion, Dominion, Dominion. And he popped out.
All right, so let's talk about the Apocalypse Watch. So interestingly, in one of our sponsors, we had this goofy, I know that the current president of the United States has been AI boomer shit posting for the life of him. I don't know if that's was that on X or Truth Social, wherever they will allow him to shit post. He's been diarrheaing all over the dang internet, okay? However, I just think that the AI Rick and Morty-ish parody that was posted was interesting based on, it says something, I haven't checked it because I've watched it once, but it says something about the weirdest timeline or the best timeline or the best dimension, and it's just girl, not in a girl. It's just an interesting synchronicity, right? Especially with all the alien stuff and the portals and all of this crap. And to me, my conspiracy cooking on that is just, they very much know that they still have a level of Q pill, it's diminished, it's way diminished, but they still have some sort of contingent of Q-brained people following them. And so they're kind of signaling to the Q people, because it's the Q people, weirdly, that I will have overlap with, since I talk about some pretty unhinged stuff, but I try and keep it at some level of what's practical to talk about and what's not, okay? Because there's stuff that we to me, there's no point in talking about some of this stuff, because it's just if that exists, there's nothing you can do. So what can you do in your life? Okay? And so to me, that's what that is. And there's been a bunch of posts like that have been trying to Q-bait people or bait the conspiracy pilled people. So it's going to be people who are into, if you mention the deep state, if you mention alternate realities, if you mention aliens, beings, whatever, they're just trying to maybe throw them some meat, validate them. I don't think it has anything to do with because people will be oh, see, it's predictive programming. I don't think it's that at all. I just think that they still know who their most fervent target audience like is. Like the few remaining people that they have left like in that camp are going to be the wildest sort of people. And so that's what I think is going on there. Could I be wrong? Sure. But that, like, I think that is the most reasonable explanation for what that is. I do have some information on alien disclosure that's kind of like psychic, I guess. There's going to be something posted. I'm saying posted. There's going to be something in the media. It's like going to be like on the news, or it's going to be on the internet or whatever, that like sets something into motion. So something significant, maybe disclosure based, alien based, is going to be on the news or on the internet or something, and it's going to like speed things up. I don't know if it's going to speed like whatever official disclosure they are going to give us. Like if it's going to push that agenda forward, it might. Or it might just be like what I'm seeing speed up is like there's, you know how it goes in cycles. It's like something gets announced and there's like a little furor over it, and then it dies back down again. And then they do, they do it all again. They raise the energy up and then they let it die off. Raise the energy up and like let it die off. And so that's kind of like the eternal, to me. Well, I'm saying it's the eternal cycle, but like, to be real with you, things are very much different now than they were like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Like, no. Things are very different now about disclosure and everything else, and about like how things are being talked about in the media. So that's something that I very much like sometimes I'll feel gaslit about that. It's like, oh, we're in the exact same place. We are nowhere near in the exact same place as we were. And people are allowed to talk about way wilder stuff like publicly than you have ever been allowed to say, ever. And I know for people who are like in the community, it feels like, oh my God, these people are all still light years behind us. It's like, I'm sorry, y'all, but not everybody is as pilled, okay? Like not everybody has like a hyperfixation. People are married. People are married with children and families and 401ks, okay? Like they don't care. So Lindsey Graham is dead, girl. And rumor has it, Mitch McConnell too. If we remember last year, I was saying that like, if possible, and this is completely averse to advice that I typically give and things that I do for myself, I was saying like, hey, you want to get on canned vegetables. You don't want to be on fresh produce. I'm saying that like last year at some point. It was like in a community post at least, but I was like, you need to get like canned vegetables. Like don't be on this bad, like, which is completely antithetical because I'm usually like, I love fresh produce. I love fresh fruit. I love vegetables. I love everything else. But I was just like, no. And I've been on cans. I take my own advice. I'm like, I need to get on these cans, girl. Girl. And now everybody's pooing everywhere. Everybody's pooing. There was one outbreak and then another, and now we've got like salmonella in the eggs. And I do remember saying stuff about the food, like, you gotta be careful about this food, and you like, don't get this fresh stuff. You gotta get the nasty canned stuff. You gotta get the awful processed junk because it's not gonna be infected because of all of the chemicals. But I've heard this kind of like, you gotta be careful about that too, because apparently I've heard it for like some of the deli meats as well. Some of the deli meats, the processed meats are also like giving people issues. But the biggest things that I've heard right now, I can't pronounce the name of the bacteria that's been in the lettuce and everything else. But there is also, I know there was a recent salmonella egg recall. So I'm not like, I'm saying I'm covering that in Apocalypse Watch, but that's mainly just like, hey, remember, I informed you thusly and within ample enough time to stockpile on canned goods. Girl to girl. It's not like you can't now either. I'm just saying. I did tell you. So hopefully y'all aren't exploding in poo. Oh, so we have Poo Watch 2026. They're the plagues, okay? Poo plagues. Our next letter to the OIA is going to be going out at the end of the first week of August. That is still on schedule unless anything happens. If something happens, I will of course alert you. So that is a letter that will be going out to the mailing list. The topic is going to be salvation. This letter also should be like fairly brief. It's necessary information, but we're not going to start getting into like the longer letters until we get to like the Holy Spirit and talking about the Jack initiation process. So this should be the last more brief letter, and I don't think any short fiction is going to be going out with this one. I'll have an update about the fiction that I have in the works, because that is also something that I tend to work on every day, is the fiction. And so there'll be a brief update there, and then we'll have the necessary information about salvation and what that actually means. And because it is necessary to know in our occult orders process for ultimately what we are trying to achieve, is the solidity of yourself to not only thrive in the material world, but to create a solid sense of yourself so that you can then bodily, for really real, go into the other dimensions. And there is a way for you to do that. There's a way for you to do that singly, but in order for it to all open up for you, all the realms and everything else, there is a way to do it by yourself. But for the way that the glowing whites have it set up, you're going to need a magical partner, unless you are in extenuating circumstances and you are also meant to leave space-time, be someone who leaves perceptual and bodily space-time, that is meant for you, then you will be given the process to do it singly by yourself if a appropriate magical partner cannot be provided to you. Because again, all of this stuff, when I'm saying you need a magical partner and blah, 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 you don't have to look for anybody. You don't have to do nothing. You just need to be on your path. And that at least within the glowing white frame, within the more Christian frame, that is something that is provided to you. You don't have to seek it out. You do not have to do anything. It is given to you at the time that it is ready to be given, and you are ready to receive it, and you're ready to move on to the next step. So there's no kind of anxiety that you need to be feeling about a spouse or a magical partner or anything like that whatsoever. There's no ritual you got to do, at least on my end. If you are not within the Christian frame, then, y'all know what to do if y'all need to summon a magical partner or whatever. But I'm just saying, in my way, you don't need to worry about it at all. So, but that is the goal of our occult order, the OIA. And if you are still listening to this and you're not a regular listener and you haven't signed up for the mailing list and you would like to either be in the order, or you just love weird stuff and you're interested and you want the information just because you would like to have the information, you're welcome to sign up to the mailing list. I'm going to have it at the end of the video and also in the description box below. It's my email address. You're just going to email me and give it a little bit of time, because I will send you any information that you have not received that has already gone out to the people who were on the first round on the mailing list. It's only one letter so far. The salvation letter will be our second round of information. I will tell you though, if you are someone who is just an interested party, you're like, oh, all that sounds unhinged, and yeah, I wanna rubberneck at the weirdos. I wanna rubberneck at this weirdo, and I wanna see what she has to say about going into other dimensions bodily and about Jesus and aliens and all this stuff. Yeah, I want that information. I will warn you, okay? Fair warning to you that I work with an entity called the Jack, and I am now married to this being. I am a Jack wife. What the Jack is an anthropomorphized avatar of the will of God, also called Thelema, okay? That is the true name of the will of God, Thelema. So the will of God exists within the Christian frame, all right? It is the will of God who allows me to act as I act in the capacity that I do within this occult order. It is a real occult order, even if it has a very, very loose structure at the moment. And what that means is it is accomplishing real tasks, and it is working with real energy. This is a real being. The will of God is real. And even if you are just an interested party, just reading the material can and will affect you. So you need to understand that before you even start, oh, hee hee, ha ha, I'm just gonna get it, like, it's just so weird, I'm gonna look at this. Don't say I didn't warn ya, okay? Like, it's not like, is it fun for me? Yes, I love it. This is my life. But it's not a joke, even though we're all jesters here. So if you are someone who is just a looky-loo, you are welcome to be a looky-loo. But when stuff starts happening to you for really real, okay, understand that I informed you thusly, okay? I informed you thusly. So be careful what you read and what you consume if you do not wish to go through certain transformations. So let's go ahead and wrap it up there, okay? So if you're interested in all that stuff, you're interested in those sorts of practices, do contact me. And as always, of course, I remain the greatest magician of the age and perhaps the greatest magician of all time. And together, perhaps you and I will make America great for once.
You can't fearmonger me because I already know what's going on and I'm not afraid. In fact, I invite it. Hurry it up. Impending doom? Imminent war? What is that to a jester? Come on, guys. I've said this time and time again. They can take the body, but they can't take the joy. Sometimes in bondage, all you have is your refusal. I will be whimsy maxing and joy baiting until my last hour.